Tonight's topic we're going to talk about is physical grounding techniques. I'm John M. Strobin, the presenter, and you can email me at john@paranormalhoustoninvestigations.org or at houstonghost@gmail.com. My cell phone is 713-485-4743. That is our Ghost Hunter cell phone. Our YouTube channel is at Exploring the Supernatural. On Facebook, it's WWTS //www.facebook.com Paranormal Houston Investigations /. And again, our website is Paranormal Houston's or Investigations.org for our regular website. Now, let's see. Let me change the slide. Next slide. Things that help you do ground yourself and protect yourself from negative energies or engaging your senses. It's touch, smell, taste, sight, and sound. If you can engage these senses, that will help you get yourself grounded. By touch, what we mean is you hold an object like a smooth stone, a piece of fabric, or an ice cube. You focus on the texture, the temperature, the weight, and the shape. You describe it to yourself in detail. If you've got some negative things going on around you, the more detail, the more you can concentrate on what this object you're focusing on is, the more grounded you become, and the less these negative energies can affect you. And that's the object behind this exercise. Smell. If you notice any smells around you, if safe and available, use a strong, pleasant scent like essential oils of lavender, peppermint, coffee grinds, or spices. And you can actually put that in a spray bottle and mist the air with it. Or you can actually use white sage and a feather and sage your location. And that also puts out an odor or smell. And as you're concentrating on how that lightens the room and everything, then you are getting yourself more grounded. Using taste, you can slowly eat or drink something, paying attention to the flavors, the textures, and the temperature. So you got to get your mind more into what you've been thinking, on the food itself. Kind of like a food connoisseur, you see some of these guys, they can name everything, every taste in there or everything in it. I'm not one of those people. My taste buds aren't that sensitive or that good, but the more you can concentrate on that effort, the more grounded you become. For sight, you can look around the room, identify specific objects, describe their color, shape, size, and any details. You could play the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. And what does the 5-4-3-1 technique do? You identify 5 things you can see around you. You identify 4 things you can touch. You identify 3 things you can hear. You identify 2 things you can smell. And you identify 1 thing you can taste. Sound. Listen to the sounds around you, both near and far. Identify the different sounds and try to pinpoint their sources. You can have your eyes open or closed at this point and, be concentrating on the sound and only on the sound. And as you deepen yourself into this kind of trance, you become more grounded. Body awareness. You can do deep breathing exercises, focused on the sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body. Sometimes if I turn the air conditioner down just a tad and I inhale very deeply, that air feels very cool. It feels relaxing. And actually, it seems to have a little taste to it. So, and also, if you want to concentrate on your chest, watch your chest rise and your abdomen rising and falling as you breathe. Foot placement. Feel your feet firmly planted on the ground. A lot of times people like to take their shoes off. Notice the pressure, how it feels on your feet, the texture of the floor, and the contact points with your feet. You can even wiggle your toes or you press your heels down. Body scan. Do a mental body scan from your toes to the top of your head, noticing any sensations without judgment. I mean, are there any spots where I feel air moving across my body? Are there any zones across my body that seem hotter or colder than other spots? You want to concentrate on every piece of your body, top to bottom, and enjoy the moment and concentrate on that. That's grounding you. Movement. Engage in gentle physical activity like stretching, walking in place, or clenching and releasing your fist. Some of these exercises that they have, like when you're donating blood, you squeeze, those are good for that type of exercise. Temperature changes. Wash your hands with cold water. Focus on physical sensation of the cold water on your skin. Take a cool shower. Splash cold water on your face. Hold an ice pack or a cold drink. Or if it's cold, do it the other way around. Make it warm, warm pack, or, a hot drink. These are ways to become grounded. Mental grounding techniques, focusing on your mind. Again, the 5-4-3-2-1 technique is what is a good method to use, where you identify 5 things you can see around you. Identify 4 things you can touch. Identify 3 things you can hear. Identify 2 things you can smell. Identify 1 thing you can taste. Categorizing. Pick a category, like animals, colors, fruits, vegetables, furniture, cars, trucks, and mentally list items within that category. This will ground you. Counting. Slowly count backwards from 100, or count specific objects in the room. How many pencils are on the desk? How many staples are in the stapler? That'll keep you busy. Reciting. Slowly or aloud, recite something familiar, like a poem, song lyrics, or a prayer. These will all help ground you. Describe your environment. Describe your surroundings in detail to yourself, as if you were explaining it to someone who couldn't see it at all. So you could go into quite detail. Like, I've got a lamp sitting here beside me. It's a white, it's looks like an antique kerosene lantern, but it's electric, and it's glass. It's got flowers on it, and it's got some blue rings around the top and the bottom where it goes, as much detail as you can. The more you get into it, the more your mind is concentrating on being grounded and not on the negative around you. The same is true on focusing on a task. If you engage in a simple, repetitive task that requires some focus, like folding laundry, washing dishes, or even making a drawing, these things all will ground you. Grounding through connection. This is focusing on an external anchor. Connect with nature. Go outside and feel the sun on your skin, the wind in your hair, or the earth beneath your feet. A lot of paranormal investigators, I for one, wear moccasins, kind of a moccasin all the time. I can slip in and out, and I go barefoot in my moccasin. So I can, touch the ground with my feet, and I can ground myself. These are things I like to do. I enjoy doing it, and it gives me a feeling of connectivity with the earth. Notice the sights and sounds and smells of nature. Talk to someone. Reach out to a trusted friend or family member. Simply having a conversation about something unrelated to the distressing experience can be grounding. Engage with a pet. This is a good one. Petting an animal can be very grounding due to the physical touch and the animal's calming presence. I like to take my dog with me on a lot of the investigations, and she loves going with me. Look at photos.
What kind of dog? What kind of dog do you have?
She's a little kind of a Chihuahua Fox Terrier mix, and she's really very good. She minds real well. I hardly ever have to put her on a leash.
Does she sense things in the
Yes, she
environment?
does. Yeah, but she's very quiet about it. She doesn't bark much. She's very quiet, so I have to pay attention to her to see her alert because she does it very quietly. There's no noise to it. When you're looking at photos, look at familiar and comforting photos of loved ones, pets, or happy memories. These will help ground you. How to choose and use grounding techniques. The idea here is to experiment, find out different techniques, try them, see which one works best for you. Practice them regularly. The more you practice, the better you get at grounding. That's one of the reasons I'm almost always in my moccasins, and my shoes come off. I'm grounding all the time. That's one that's pretty easy for me, very quick, and it's almost like smoking a cigarette. You do it without thinking about it. Next thing I know, I'm standing there barefoot, and I have to get my shoes back on before I can walk. Uh, Accessibility. Choose techniques that are easy to do in your current environment. Combine techniques. You can use multiple grounding techniques together for a stronger effect. Now, I don't know how you would do some of this. If you're trying to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I think you're pretty well using your mind and your hands and everything. I don't know how you could do two at once, but you could do breathing with it, with something. Be patient. It may take some time and practice to find out what works best for you. And then we got questions. You got any questions on grounding?
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
ask one. Now, you said that this is important when you encounter negative energies.
Yeah. A lot of times if you're encountering a negative energy, or like I have a client right now who is being pestered by some negative energy, and it talks to her and it distracts her and she gets in a conversation with it. Well, when she engages it gets worse. Now, if she ignores it and concentrates on these grounding techniques where she's, grounding herself and connecting with herself, then she is not engaging with this and it's not getting a hold of her like it is if she's, talking with it and interacting with it. So it's to keep you from interacting with negative energy as well as to, cause it to lose interest in you and move on.
Yes. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
You got any other questions?
well, I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, my experience is limited to the shows I've seen. One of the shows that I've seen is called Psychic Kids.
Uh-huh.
And that is one of the things that comes up with the psychics that are trying to help these kids out, is they're trying to teach them to ground themselves.
Yes.
And in one of their episodes, they encountered some dark energy that was
Yeah.
in home, and the psychic decided that the best technique was to not engage it and to basically leave it where it was and try not to interact with it.
Right.
I can see how these grounding techniques work. Now, for a paranormal investigator that's been drawn into a situation like this, when would we engage in these grounding techniques? Because we're presumably there to either remove the dark energy or at least do something to mitigate it. And
to protect yourself a little bit. Well, and to also encourage it to stay behind when you leave a site. So, that's part of what we do. Now, a lot of times we have a misting sage that we use, that's in a spray bottle. We tell the entity that it's not welcome to come with us. It needs to stay behind when we get in the vehicle. We even spray the bottoms of our feet with the spray. When we load all of our equipment, we spray the vehicle, we spray the equipment, and we instruct anything that might have tried to attach itself to us, stay put. We don't want you. Don't come with us. And we haven't had any real bad luck with anything, doing this technique. Now, if we do get into trouble, of course, we'll have to pursue, something a little heavier. But a lot of times when we get at the scene, we do this initial grounding. I do the step out of my shoes. I stand there for a little bit and get in touch with the ground. and I think about a bright light surrounding me, and I'm in the protection of this white light, and I invite this protection to come down and take care of me and engulf me, and let these entities know that I, am protected. I do not want to engage with them. I do well, other than to know that they're there. I'm doing an investigation, but you're not going home with me, and I'm going to get rid of you if I can. So,
Well, how often do you encounter these type of negative entities in your investigations?
Well, you don't ever really know sometimes. Now, sometimes when you do the intake with the person, they are experiencing negative energies. I mean, negative things are happening. And so, there's something negative there. So when we go, well, generally we treat every place that is may have some negative. So when we get out of the car, we start grounding. And then when we leave, we get all grounded and get in the car and leave. So, and tell the entities to stay behind. They're not welcome in the car, not to attach themselves to us and stuff. And so we do this at every investigation.
Okay.
Just to be safe.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
After you've taken one home, it's too late, I mean, you can try to start grounding and stuff at home, but you're already there and you've got issues. So if you can prevent it from happening in the first place, you're better off.
Yeah, I understand. Of course, we can always call you and say, "Hey, I'm having paranormal problems."
Yeah, well, we'll come with the holy water and the anointing oil, and we'll start engaging. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, Richard?
No, let's go on. Oh, is this the entire presentation, or do you have more?
Well, there's one more slide, and that's just to thank you for tuning in with us. And again, give you our name, our phone number, and one of our emails. And also, the other email is houstonghost@gmail.com. So whichever one's easier for you to remember.
Okay. John at paranormalhoustoninvestigations.org. I'm using Gmail one right now. Is one of the better?
Houston Ghost goes to my phone, so I can get it on my phone real easy. Whereas the other, the John, I've got to go to some special software to be able to get in it because of what's happened with Network Solutions, who hosts my website. They host my email and they screwed something up, and so I'm having some issues with it. And now I have to use a special program and log in to get to my email with them, when I didn't have to before. Used to, I could use Outlook and just go to my email directly from Outlook, but I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, what is that email address again? The one that you prefer?
Houston Ghost.
Houston Ghost?
At gmail.com.
Okay, that's the one I use. So.
Pardon?
That's the one I use. I just sent you.
Okay, sure. Okay, that's fine. That's the best one to use, really. But a lot of people like to know that it's tied to an organization and that we have a website and things. So some people prefer the other. Okay. Well, Richard, I want to thank you for coming. And for anybody that's watched our podcast, I'd like to have you subscribe to our channel. If you look, we've recently taken and added a bunch of different categories to our subject matter, and classified some of these podcasts that we've done and put them all in a folder. So if you're looking for angels, or if you're looking for dogmen, or if you're looking for Bigfoot, whatever you're looking for, you could go to that one category and you can click through all the videos that we have on that. Actually, I've been quite surprised. Most of them we have 3 videos on so far that I've put together. Some of them have as many as, I think one of them had 15. I thought, oh, wow. But right now we're at 191 videos. I think it is 191, 192. So we've generated a bunch. And actually, I created a list the other day. I was going through and doing some checking, and I came up with at least another 30 categories that I want to get into. And as I've written these categories down now, I'm going to try to make some videos specifically for those categories. And some of them we haven't done anything on before. So it will give us a broader base and more coverage and make all of our investigators a little more knowledgeable. Actually, on our terms of the day that we post also, those I think are very helpful to people that are wanting to learn about the paranormal, because some of the little terms you don't hear very often. Some are from different countries. Some are, we've got a bunch from Japan. We've got some from Scandinavia. We got some from Bavaria. We've got some from Australia. We've got some Native American entities and stuff in there. So, but if you haven't ever heard of them, when you're on an investigation and some mention is made of these things, you have no clue what they're trying to tell you, or what they're trying to tell you, or what they're trying to talk about. So you need a wide based, big foundation of information, so that when you hear something, it triggers something. Oh, I know what that is. And you can immediately go, and you know it's the lead to go somewhere else. And that way you can continue your investigation. Whereas if you don't know those things at the moment, that is lost and you can't go back to and recover where you were. So I think that the paranormal term of the day is important for everybody. I also like the fact that as we learn these terms, right now I've got 412 terms. That's more than one a day. So it takes more than a year to go through all the terms. So if I were to sit down and try to get you to learn all these terms, no way. If I was trying to get me to learn all these terms, no way. 412 I'm not going to sit down for hour on hour, end on end, to go through these terms. But I can do one a day. And if I do one a day and I do it, it may take me 3 years to do it, 3 times. But hey, I'm going to learn the terms,
I've started watching these terms. I mean, many of them I've never heard of, like theurgy, or I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah.
Thunder being. Now I've heard of
right.
Traumatic timer.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are things you really ought to know. If you're going to be a paranormal investigator, you need to know about these things, that they exist, and a little bit about them. And as you keep going through this term, it's kind of like exercise, wax on, wax off, for karate.
Yeah.
You do that muscle memory thing, and the next thing you know, you've got these terms. You don't have a problem with it. And it wasn't any effort. You didn't set out to learn 412 terms. All of a sudden you just know them. So I think it's a great way to do that.
Yeah, and they're short, so they go fast.
Try to keep it short. Yeah. Now, actually, I started running out of space because there was sometimes more detail on some of them. I wanted to have more on, but my little page is so short. And so I started recording audio on it, and I can make the video as long as I need to, up to 2 minutes. I'm trying to keep them short, no longer than 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes at the most. So if I can record what I'm trying to say that I can't put on there in text, you can listen. And if you're driving or something, you can sit and listen to it, What the heck?
That's true.
So, I think it's a great thing. And since I've started publishing these things, our traffic on our website is starting to pick up a little bit. I'm seeing a little increase, which is hopeful, and that's our main goal, is to educate people. So, hey, let's educate.
Well, you're doing your part to educate. Now, I guess everybody else needs to do their part and start getting educated.
Well, at least some of us need to be doing education. I mean, let's face it, a lot of people only go on ghost hunts to get an adrenaline rush, or for a thrill, or for excitement, or a little notoriety or something, But that gets old over time. To me, it got old anyway. So I would rather start showing people what I've learned, and I kind of get a little joy when I take somebody out and teach them how to use dowsing rods, for instance. That's a big thrill for me. They're sitting there, they've got these dowsing rods in their hands, and they're feeling them vibrate, and they're realizing that these things really work. They've said, hey, dowsing rods, he's twisting them with his hands, But I show you how to hold them where you can't twist them with your hands. I show you how to hold them where they're pointed down, And so the energy has to push up to make it work, and you can feel the energy. And I have yet to have a student that that was not able to use dowsing rods and to have them work effectively for them. So I love to do that because it's their first exposure to the paranormal, and they can see it working, they can feel it working, and they're convinced. They're sold. Hey, paranormal's real.
So, what is the mechanism behind the dowsing rods that makes them work?
Well, I have my own speculation on it, to be honest with you, Richard. Now, let me tell you a story about how I got involved with dowsing rods to start with. I was in high school, so it's been 60 years ago, a little over 60 years. But anyway, my dad had an engineering company, and we were doing survey for the city of Houston. And I was hired on for the summer on the survey crew. And our party chief, Gene Hale, he took me out there, and he kind of liked me. I loved the hell out of him. But anyway, I had a little attitude because my dad owned the company. But I got in an argument with Gene over where some pipelines were buried. They were on the ground, shown on the ground on this plot. And we're looking there, and we can't see where they are for sure. And we're trying to find out where they are. And the M scope they were trying to use, they were hooking it up to a pipeline, trying to test these pipelines, and it's supposed to locate, the pipe. And the M scope wasn't working. And Gene Hale pulled out these coat hangers. He pulled out coat hangers and unraveled them and made dowsing rods. So one of my videos is how to make dowsing rods with a coat hanger. But anyway, he made these dowsing rods. He walked across, he grabbed some stakes. He staked out where the lines were. We did a survey to find out where they were. And where he said they were was not where they're located on this map. They were not where they're supposed to be.
Oh, man.
So I said, Gene, I just can't believe this. I'm sorry. I think that they're where they're supposed to be. They couldn't have missed like this. Gene, he smiled at me, and he handed me a shovel, and he said, "You dig them up." So I spent the whole afternoon digging a hole down about 4 feet down and about 10 feet long. And I mean, I dug all afternoon. I was lucky the ground wasn't super hard. But anyway, and I dug a trench right there by where his stakes were. And his stakes were dead on the money on those pipelines. And I looked at him and I said, "Gene, show me how to use those." And I have used dowsing rods ever since. And so that's how I learned.
Yeah. Was it magnetic field that gets created, or do you think it's spiritual, where spirits get involved and tell you where they...
To be honest with you, I think that it's part of the collective consciousness, to be honest with you. And my feeling about it is because not only can I locate pipelines, I can do rebar, electric lines, whatever I'm thinking about. I've even located car keys. I've located graves, tombs. So what I can think about in my mind and connect with a collective consciousness, I can locate. And I don't know, my frequency tunes in with the dowsing rods, and I can feel them vibrate, and it just works. And so I think it's part of the collective consciousness. It's a mystic phenomenon in my book, but I know it works, And then again, at the same time, let's face it, in the Bible, God spoke the world and the universe into existence. There was the word. One of the things and principles that God gives us is that we can manifest what we speak. And we talk about that in some of the Sunday school classes and stuff, that you can manifest what you speak. Be careful of what you say with your words, because you can generate things. And so you don't want to generate negative things, So I think that part of that comes into play with the dowsing rods, to be honest with
you.
Okay. And
my theory would be that it's spiritual energy that intercedes and makes them work. But that's mere speculation on my part.
Go ahead and repeat that.
My theory as to what makes dowsing rods work is that spiritual energy is interceding and locating the object for you.
That may well be. You may be right. You may be on to it. Again, the way I'm putting it may be a little different in that the way I'm saying it is collective consciousness is still part of the universe speaking to us, if I'm making sense.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And I'm having trouble myself just getting my head around that. I know a lot of people say that the collective, what you just about, since I don't come from where they come from, I have a difficulty understanding it, wrapping my head around it. So, yeah, what is that collective consciousness?
Well, I believe my feeling and what I've come to believe, I could be totally off base. I can't say that I'm right or wrong, but my feeling is this, that I think that each of us has a bit of God in us, okay? That we're all part of God. And that if we can call on that collective consciousness, that collective connection where we're all connected to God, that we're collected from the, divine computer, if you like, we're tied to the source of all information. We're tied to God.
Well, that would make sense. Yeah, I mean, I can see how that you would understand it that way, and that makes sense.
I mean, that's how I view it now. I'm sure there are people that, and they probably have very good reason to say, "Hey, John, you're crazy and stupid," and they probably have some valid points that they could throw out there. But over the 80 years I've been around, this is the conclusion that I have kind of slowly come to. So this is what I'm thinking.
Well, yeah, thanks for sharing. I mean, yeah, that's something to think about.
And I know that there are some groups out there that do go and have meetings and stuff, and they have prayer meetings. They do meditations and stuff as a group to collect and make a larger consciousness. And again, even Jesus suggested this in the Bible, where more come together and pray, I will be there.
That's right. He did say that.
So these are all these little diamonds everywhere are what I've pulled together to come up with this theory that I've got. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting.
But again, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not saying I'm right, because definitely, everybody has their own opinion and their own thoughts, and who's to say who's right, who's to say who's wrong. But and actually, a lot of people have similar feelings and similar beliefs, and I don't think we're all that far apart. We just have trouble talking about it sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.
Okay, Richard. Well, I enjoyed chatting with you tonight.
Same here.
We will get back with you later this week, and I will get a list of some things together that if you want to purchase, and I will come up with a way to get you links to it on Amazon so it's easy to order, and you won't get the wrong thing. Then you can go click on it. The other beauty part of it is we get like a 1% commission or something. They'll put money in our account for our ghost hunt group. And that's the beauty of this thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So that way you don't have to make a real donation. They'll give us a little bit of the sale of whatever you purchase from the thing.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Richard. Well, we'll chat with you later.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to get a hold of you later about, going on some of these things and trying to do some video footage and stuff if you want to go along.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do the videos if you want me to.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely. It would help right now.
Okay.
All right, Richard. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.